Good morning, everyone. This is MightyStream. Today is April the 26th, and I am excited about today. I hope that you're doing well. I'm still struggling with a bit of a cold, but I still was able to rest well, and I'm here today to do our meditation, the Just for Today in a meditation with you. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation. This is our H.O.O.D Recovery Services. H.O.O.D stands for Hope Offered on Demand. And I am hoping by now that you have been enjoying these meditations that I have been posting as a podcast on YouTube. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Okay, let me go ahead and start sharing the screen. All right, hopefully you can see that. April 26th, self-acceptance. The most effective means of achieving self-acceptance is through applying the 12 steps of recovery. IP number 19, self-acceptance. Most of us came to Narcotics Anonymous without much self-acceptance. We looked at the havoc we had wreaked in our active addiction, and we loathed ourselves. We had difficulty accepting our past and the self-image produced by it. Self-acceptance comes more quickly when we first accept that we have a disease called addiction, because it's easier to accept ourselves as sick people than as bad people. And the easier it is to accept ourselves, the easier it becomes to accept responsibility for ourselves. We achieve self-acceptance through the process of ongoing recovery. Working the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous teaches us to accept ourselves and our lives. Spiritual principles like surrender, honesty, faith, and humility help relieve us of the burden of our past mistakes. Our attitude changes with the application of these principles in our daily lives. Self-acceptance grows as we grow in recovery. Just for today, self-acceptance is a process set in motion by the 12 steps. Today, I will trust the process, practice the steps, and learn to better accept myself. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That comes from our IP number 19, entitled Self-Acceptance. Those are also available online at na.org under literature. I want to say virtual literature. They make it available so you can read it online. And that is one of the IPs that we have enjoyed for years. Self-acceptance. So I believe that self-acceptance is like a moving target. And what I mean by that, have you ever been driving down the road as a passenger in a car and you notice something, say maybe something in someone's front yard that you really liked, and you wanted to make sure you grasp what it looked like so that you can either search for it or come back for it, or just remember that moment of what that was your eyes were appreciating. Or you've passed by a building and you saw a mural on the building and you continue to drive. The person was driving, but you continue to look at it. It looks like the mural or the object that you're looking at is moving right along with you. But that's an illusion, right? Because it's stable. It's not going to change positions unless there's an earthquake or something like that, right? It's stable, but you're the one that's moving. But imagine if you were trying to take aim at that, or shoot a arrow at it, or shoot a bullet at it, or throw something at that item. For instance, I can't, I'm thinking of a game people play, but they don't play it from vehicles, right? So that analogy won't work. But that target that you're shooting for, or that item that you're looking at, appears to be moving. And it's a moving target, is what we would call it. That is a moving target. It is changing positions, but it's changing positions because you are changing positions. And so when I say self-acceptance is like a moving target, what I mean by that, it's always the goal. Because the sooner you can accept yourself, have self-acceptance of your past, your situations, your disease of addiction, right? Which is your internal uneasiness that is manifested in obsession and compulsion, right? So the sooner we see it as something that is not our identity, but a condition, a medical condition that we have, we can address it, right? And part of what the gift of addressing it gives to us through the 12 steps, of course, right? A part of that process, that gift that we get as a result of doing the work, is self-acceptance. We're moving. The ideology of self-acceptance, the ideal of it, is not moving. It's always present and always has been since the beginning of time when humans were created. It has always been the ideal for us to be content and happy, joyous, and free with acceptance of how we were created and who we are individually. That has always been. It has not changed. What's moving is ourselves. We are the ones that are moving through this process of recovery through life. And we're viewing this self-acceptance from a moving being. And so it appears to be a moving target. It appears to be moving and shifting. But in reality, the concept of self-acceptance is one, right? There's nothing confusing or murky about self-acceptance. Either you have it, or you have some of it, or you don't have all of it, right? When a person says, I have some self-acceptance today, generally speaking, you're not thinking, oh, they accept the fact that their skin is Black, right? That they're considered a Black person in America, in a racist country, right? You're assuming that when a person says they have self-acceptance today, you are assuming that they're talking about all of it, that they themselves are okay from within. So everything else that is without or outside of themselves, they're totally okay with that because they know it doesn't change their value. And they know that whatever they've done or are doing, they understand that this is a part of who they are. It's not who they are. Okay, so self-acceptance is generally viewed in its totality, but in this reading, we see that it is a process. It says here, we achieve self-acceptance through the process of ongoing recovery. So if the way that we achieve it is ongoing, then this tells me that self-acceptance can be changing as well. It can be a process to attain it. And it says down here, even further to validate what I'm saying, self-acceptance grows as we grow in recovery. So I want to say it's like we attain it, but the depths of it changes. The more that we grow in our recovery, the depth of it can change. But in and of itself, it's a complete destination. It's a complete virtue in and of itself. But as you go through life, you will find that your view of it, I'm hitting on it now, right? Your view of it, your perception of self-acceptance changes. The 22-year-old that is whose skin is young and youthful, it has elasticity in it. She has absolutely no stretch marks. Please, I had stretch marks that from the moment I started growing. My skin seemed too small for the length, right? So I'm used to them. But a young person who hasn't had pregnancies, who hasn't had, she's just young, her ideal of self-acceptance in regards to her body image may not be a challenge for her. But you throw another 20 years onto her life and get her in the over 40 bracket. And as time proceeds, her self-acceptance of her body image probably will too, right? And I don't have to go into detail, but you understand that a woman's body at 50 is not going to be the same as her body at the age of 20. There's going to be some changes, and you're going to need to have some acceptance in regards to that new identity that you have. It's the same way in recovery, right? Self-acceptance, it's a spiritual value, and the value, the understanding of it, the perception of it changes as you go through the process of recovery. It should become richer, right? It should become more full. It should have more juice within it so that it has more to give you, more sustenance to give you, to live happy, joyous, and free. So it's a simple concept, but it's not really when you think about all of the things an individual can go through in life and need to have some self-acceptance about. So I really love this just for today. I love the fact that it emphasizes some spiritual principles like surrender, honesty, faith, humility, help relieve us of the burden of our past mistakes. So as you develop these through, right? Because the first, it says through the process of the 12 steps, because the first step, one of the spiritual values that come through that is surrender and honesty, because we admit that we're powerless over the disease of addiction and that our lives had become unmanageable. It takes a level of surrender and honesty to be able to do the first step. Step two, we came to believe that we could be restored to sanity. That sounds like faith, right? I have faith that if I go through this, I can get my mind back. I can get my life back. I can have some restoration, some sanity, right? I can be restored to sanity, right? And so that is a benefit or a fruit of step two. And as you go through all of the steps, there's spiritual principles for all of them. But the point here is that they can help us to view our past mistakes with a different outlook. And the main outlook is that we want to have some self-acceptance about it, because we can't change the past. And we may have some consequences of our past mistakes that we're still living with, but even humility can help us to cope with those consequences. I was talking to a lady this weekend. She struggles because she's not able to interact with her children as a direct result of using. But she's been clean for a while, but her family is still holding her hostage. Her family is still holding her hostage to, I don't know how to get rid of this. They're still holding her hostage to her past. And if we permit our families to continue to hold us hostage to our past, then what happens is that we're trying to move forward, but the whole of us, the spirit of us, is stuck in yesterday. And it becomes quite an internal battle to be getting better and to being becoming healthier. But then someone keeps reminding you, you know you had cancer. You know you had cancer. You shouldn't be doing that. Right? So they're either unforgiveness or inability to let go of where we've been. They continue to remind us of it. They always keep it in the forefront as a justification for putting limitations on their relationship with you and limiting you. I've had the same thing come up to me recently, with a family member, trying to make sure that I remember my past, right? And there were some restrictions that came with some of the things that I did, right? And the question is that when you meet people of a certain faith, do you tell them that you're no longer, that you're disfellowship, you're no longer a part of that faith? And I'm thinking to myself, why would I do that? Why would I take something that happened nearly 20 years ago and remind people that that was something that was imposed on me in a very unloving fashion? I would never meet someone that is in and of that faith today and just randomly say, you know what, I was put out of that religion 20 years ago. You might not want to talk to me. I would never do that. I would be disrespecting what God has done in my life, in the life that he has given me, to constantly bring that up and allow people to shun me or look at me in a different light. It's very ungodly and very unloving. I would never do that to myself. And that's just one example. The lady I was talking to is dealing with family members trying to hold her to her using days, her actively using days, and tell her, you don't deserve to have a relationship with your children. Right? We do this all the time. We try to get some self-acceptance with our past mistakes, but then we let other people come in and remind us. Once you've done the work, they don't have a right to keep bringing that up. You might deal with the consequences of their view of you, but you don't have to live. They're not who you are. You do not have to live that as though that is your whole identity. And the process of forgiveness, again, comes as a result of doing the work. If you are not doing your 12 steps, if you've never done them fully, you need to get the literature and you need to get a hold of me, because I have a willingness to meet with you one-on-one on Zoom to be able to do your step work. I'm not trying to sponsor you. I'm trying to let you know that you need to get busy in your recovery. You need to be about what we say we're about, which is that the spiritual principles of the 12 steps. You deserve that level of freedom. And MightyStream is here to assist you through that, male or female. I don't care what your pronouns are. I am willing to help you through that process if you're willing to do the work. Reach out to me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. And I want to thank you for listening. And I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day. Make it a beautiful day.